Am I on? Yes. Yes. What a great song. And what a great reading, Mary Alice. That was beautiful. When I came to think about this talk, I looked in the book and realized that my title had already been chosen for me, which doesn't usually happen, but it was just perfect. I said, I can do that. And so I began to wonder about the history of Christmas. And so what I'm about to say may not please everyone. So I knew, in the beginning, I knew it was at least partly a pagan holiday. But I was surprised what I found, and it made me laugh out loud. Because I just think that it's so important to see the irony in all the practices and cultural anomalies that we participate in as human beings in this country, in this world at this time. So some of the information is from a website called the Human Truth Foundation. So I was surprised to learn that the birth of Jesus Christ and the Christmas story as it appears in the Bible is not a historical event. I mean, here we are growing up, and Christmas is so special, just the most special thing, and you think, oh my goodness, of course, this is the story of Jesus. And in my family, we read the night before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, the poem illustrated by Thomas Nast, and we listened. We got together around the Christmas story too. And it's not historical. Jesus was not born in December. No one knows exactly because the Gospels of the New Testament were written 200 years. They were started to be written 40 years after his death, but mainly 200 years after the death of Jesus. Astronomers at the time recorded no exceptionally bright stars. So the star in the east, followed by the wise men. Also, shepherds would never bring their sheep to the fields in winter. Never, never. Early Christians celebrated the birth of Jesus in the spring. So why couldn't they keep it? I mean, if they celebrated, why did they have to change it? Well, Jesus was not likely born in a stable in Bethlehem, and it was not likely a virgin birth, but of a mistranslation, meaning a young woman gave birth. What it was, the early church elders wanted Jesus born wanted him to have humble beginnings. So this is what they decided. And how they decided that, who knows? One gospel does mention a virgin birth, but the other three gospels don't mention it. Only two gospels mention the Christmas story, actually. And the gifts of the Magi part of the Christmas story comes from pagan mythology, as does much of this, The first Christians were Jewish converts, and they were warned specifically in the Bible not to learn the ways of pagans who bring trees into their homes and decorate them with silver and gold. And the Bible contains no references to birthdays and birthday celebrations. There's a brief exception to that, but in general, no birthday celebrations. The legend of Santa Claus is traced back to a 3rd century Turkish monk named Saint Nicholas, who was known he's Turkish, so there was some Christianity in Turkey. He became a legend for his kindness and for his givingness. He gave away a substantial fortune to the poor. And this legend survived into the 19th century when New Yorker Clement Moore wrote an account of a visit from St. Nicholas for his daughters. And of course, that and the artist Thomas Nast are responsible for the images of our modern Santa Claus. Pagans worship the sun and all of the natural world. And we can totally identify with that. We can totally understand that. Pagan means country. It doesn't mean anything negative at all. And I think basically most, if not all, religions came from pagan worship and the mystery that the natural world presented to us, the unknown, the weather, the changes of the sun and the movement of the earth was a complete mystery. And so there was a tendency to worship that which they knew nothing about. So this time of year especially, there were many celebrations in the pagan traditions because they wanted to make sure that the light returned. So that was their purpose in these festivals, to honor the return of the sun and to make sure it happened again. So I'm quoting from the website. Christmas is a multicultural, multi-religious festival combining sun worship, polytheism, and pagan nature religions who have celebrated the seasons of nature for many thousands of years. So this is really an opportunity for us to understand how globally we are connected with each other and all of humanity. It's just a good time of year to do this. The date of December 25th accords with sun worship. And as I said, the Christmas tree and decorations are pagan. And even nativity stories are originally pagan, Mithraistic, and Roman. So the Roman Emperor Constantine, as part of his conversion to Christianity in 400 BC, or as we know it, ACE, after the Common Era, gathered a group of people in Rome to formulate the New Testament. And they chose from writings, hundreds of writings, from hundreds of years earlier. And at the same time, he fully intended to harmonize the local pagan festivals with the biblical writings. And that's how we really, it's because of Constantine, Emperor Constantine, that we really do have this global Christmas celebration. So it has become now a mostly secular holiday, a social festival based on family, because we don't need to return the light. We know it's coming back, and we have lights. Has become a secular holiday, a social festival based on family, community, and commercial enterprise. And as long as no one excludes anyone else, there is room for everyone to take part. And there's truly opportunity to find peace where there was no peace before. There's a story, I don't know if we heard it here, if I heard it here or somewhere else, of the Germans during World War II, the Germans. Did you tell me? did you read it here, World War I? Yes, she read it here about the, on Christmas Eve, the Germans and the Americans, or the British, exchanged little presents on the line, on the front lines on Christmas Eve, and then after that they started to kill each other again. But it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity for peace. The non-religious can celebrate the family aspect. Christians can affirm the birth of Christ and the teachings of Christ, and the pagans can celebrate the natural world. And of course, each aspect of the Christmas season as we observe it has meaning for us and carries with it a deeper spiritual concept. And so it's interesting to think about the deeper teachings of Jesus at this time, and I think we usually do. And his main teachings were love, that we all are love, we all come from love, and we go to love. The teachings of peace, and especially the teaching of forgiveness. And as we are creating our world, we are creating extraordinary opportunities for forgiveness. Politically, socially, really, truly. The return of the light and symbols of death and rebirth from the natural world. We have opportunities to remember that out of death comes life, and that as the cycles of the natural world go around, we see death all around us. And that is one important aspect to think of our own death, to know that out of even our own death comes life. I think it's important also at this time to remember the gifts of silence and of darkness, not to deny the darkness that unfolds us in these short days, but to honor it, because we don't get apples unless we have a period of cold. The natural world needs this period of cold. The things that grow here in the northern hemisphere grow because we have the cycles, grow the way they do, and give us the gifts they do because we have the natural cycles. And which brings me to my last part. It's a time to celebrate the light within each of us. A time for extraordinary conscious effort to understand that we are not just this human being, but we are the light. And I really appreciated Maurice's meditation, because I forget it myself. I forget it. And that this truly is the purpose of your life, to remember that you are the light and that you can shine everywhere all the time, that even in your darkest moments, and all of us have those dark moments. Every one of us have dark moments. There is light within. The darker the darkness, the brighter your light will shine. And I'm quoting from the Hindu Upanishads. There is a light that outshines all things on earth, beyond us all, beyond the heavens, beyond the highest, the very highest heavens. This is the light that shines in your heart. And this from Molly Friedenfeld. Your heart is where your inner light resides. It is part of every sacred journey to reconnect with your inner light. Step into your divinity. Spread the light before you. Return to love, and by doing, inspire others to do the same. I was living in, some years ago, I was living in Santa Fe. Before I moved to Michigan with my family, we were living in Santa Fe. And I had a little house. I was renting a house that looked out over the mountains on the other side of the city. It was Santa Fe is a very beautiful town. And part of what makes it so beautiful is the Sangre de Cristos Mountains on the other side of town. And I was watching the sun come up over the mountains. And I suddenly realized that as a human being, I was brighter than that sun that was coming up over the mountains. And I thought, but the sun hurts my eyes. And I realized that the light that we share with each other, the brilliant light that we share with each other, will not hurt your eyes. The light of the divine part of each of us will not hurt your eyes. So I fully encourage you to look at each other and see the light that you are. That's all. Now it's your turn. Thank you.